All right, my friends, I'm so excited about telling you this story, and I'm going to try to contain myself and um, keep the pace slow in the spirit of a bedtime story. But I had fun telling myself this story tonight on the way home. Of course, being a grown up, dreadful business, the grown upping, but it's necessary now and then. I get through it. And but I had delightful grown-upping this weekend, and also delightful frolicking like children for the last few days with the lady. So all is well, but a very busy weekend. And I was thinking about all the things I have to do tomorrow. And one of them is to take care of the power wagon. And I'm going to come back to what the power wagon is at the end of the story. But spoiler alert, it's partially a Little Red Wagon. And got me to thinking about Little Red Wagons. I have a lot of experience with Little Red Wagons, as you might have guessed. And I grew up in a world where there was no internet. There were very few screens. So you broke your arm and your leg with your bike, climbing trees and whatnot. And that was fun. And it was just a very different world then. So Little Red Wagon was a vehicle. It was a lot of playtime. It was versatile. It was functional. I got so excited there, trying to tone it down. So, my first Little Red Wagon, the first one I can remember, I had when I was a very small kid, probably in Colusa, Illinois. And I believe we took it back and forth to the farm. And I would use it to haul stuff around. I would put dirt in it and use it like a workhorse. But of course, riding it down hills was the primary purpose of a Little Red Wagon. And they didn't steer well. As I'm sure many of you might remember. And but we did it anyway. We piled 2 or 3 folks into the wagon and ride it down a hill until we crashed. But I had a Little Red Wagon when I was a little kid, and at some point I believe we painted it green, which probably had something to do with Grandpa Ezra's John Deere tractors, if I had to guess. Don't recall the details. And that's the first one I can remember. Little Red Wagon. Spent a lot of time with that, using it, haul my stuff around. And the next Little Red Wagon that I can remember, and by the way, they're all Little Red Wagons. I don't care what color it is. I don't care who makes it. I don't care if it's a garden cart. If it has 4 wheels and a handle that you pull it by, in spirit, it is a Little Red Wagon. And they're all just different flavors of Little Red Wagon, but they are all Little Red Wagons. So the next one that I remember specifically was not an official radio flyer, Little Red Wagon, and that was difficult for me because I just got out of college. I'm making great money. I'm rich, right? I can buy whatever I want. I can buy the top of the line radio flyer, brother. And I was off the hook. I was gonna go get myself a shiny new Little Red Wagon to use in the shop cart. I wanted a cool one. And but having the experience that I had had with Little Red Wagons and knowing myself as I did then and do now, it was relatively certain that I would end up riding it down a hill. So therefore, I did some research to find out who had the best steering mechanism, because I remembered very clearly that my Little Red Wagon as a child did not have amazing steering technology. And I wanted to improve on that, because wouldn't that be safer, right? If you could steer the darn thing a bit better. And so I did my homework, and I bought the Red Wagon that had the most smooth operating. I don't know. Uh, it had, pivoting wheels. It wasn't just a round thing that the Radio Flyer had. So I'm thinking I'm all grown up now, right? I made a safe choice, and I'll be able to steer it better if I do get some tomfoolery in me. And so inevitably I did. I used it in the shop. It was cool. But of course I lived on a hill, and the hill was paved. And one day I just couldn't help it anymore, and I had to ride the Little Red Wagon down the hill. And there are a couple hills actually. You can ride it down from the church parking lot, down their driveway, cross my driveway, up over the hill in the backyard, and then down into the yard. It's a bit of a roller coaster. What could go wrong? And so I go up to the far corner, so I want to go as fast as possible, right? And feeling quite safe because you see, I bought a wagon that steers better. And I get rolling down. Yeah, this is nice. I remember how hard they were to steer, but this one, oh, it steers like a dream. And I hit the first plateau where I had to cross the road, picking up the speed, and man, it handles nice. We're going faster and faster, and I'm still not even at the big hill. And yeah, and I going faster and faster and faster. And it gets wobbly still, but now I'm going really fast when it gets wobbly. and I'm about to go down the big hill, and so I scrub off a little speed going over the crest, and um, it's like that your belly drops out when you go over the big hill with the roller coaster. Oh, here we go, and it handled really nice, and I got to going really fast before I wrecked it, and I mean like a train wreck, like a race car tumbling into a million pieces. I tumbled with the wagon, and I'm thinking while I'm tumbling, right? Oh, I haven't been in the emergency room in a while, and now I'm a grown-ass man riding a Little Red Wagon down the hill. And, not that I didn't know better. I did know better. I had a lot of experience telling me better. And, but I sure thought I was being safe. And so that's the second Little Red Wagon that I can remember. I had it for many years, and I used it as a shop cart. And I just got the sledgehammer and some 2x4s, and I hammered it back into rough shape, and it just was all crinkled up like a pop can that you stepped on. But it still worked, and so it was still pretty cool, And I eventually sold it to a fella. I was moving, and it was heavy, and it was full of old bolts, nuts, and brackets and whatnot off of old Chevys. And fella was giddy. He loved the wagon. He was excited to have this old bucket of bolts. And so that Little Red Wagon, I bet it's still in that fella's shop. And but now, my friends, I've reached a new point in my life where Little Red Wagons are extra important. And I can have as many Little Red Wagons as I want or need. And so now at nearly senior citizen age, I'll be 55 this year, and I'll be the youngest I've ever been, and I'll be at least able to get the senior discount at the grocery store, which I'm excited about because I'm going to take my pretty young girlfriend to the grocery store and get her 5 to 7% off on Thursdays, and that'll add an extra layer of delight to my grocery store dates with her. She likes to save money, and that's really attractive. And so, looking forward to that. So now that I'm at that place in life where I can do whatever shenanigans and jollification that I feel to do, I have two Little Red Wagons. I have one that's a beach wagon. It's never been anything but a beach wagon. Presumably, it will never be anything else. I put my hippie stuff in it. I put my drums and my tambourines and my rain stick and my blankets for the beach. And I take it to the drum circle. It's a traveling drum circle kit. You pull it across the sand, you see I have a red wagon, big wheels, does pretty good. So I got a beach wagon. I got a beach Little Red Wagon. And love it. It sits in the house. Just pull it in the house, put it in the corner. It's a decor. And so that's my playtime, Little Red Wagon. I have a workhorse wagon. And that's the one that started this whole story earlier tonight when I told it to myself on the way home. At the popcorn stand, I don't want a generator. In a lot of places, we couldn't have one anyway. And don't always need one. We can do what we need with battery power. So I have 2 marine batteries and an inverter power the popcorn stand. And it's a bit too much for a Little Red Wagon. And I bought us a nice, in fact, we went on a date, Lady Leanna Marie and I, to go buy a Little Red Wagon off Facebook Marketplace. We got a really nice one. So it was ordained properly. And, well, it's been in service for some time now, and she's looking a little tattered, my friends. And I was thinking how shameful that is. I don't feel like I'm honoring my Little Red Wagon, my workhorse one, because it needs some help. It's got a flat tire, and she's a little bent up from hauling too much weight. It needs some reinforcement. And I need to do some real wiring in it, so I'm not just plugging wires in every time we hook it up. It needs some love. My Little Red Wagon needs some love, and I was embarrassed that the lady saw the little wagon in disrepair today in its condition. So I'll remedy that, and I'll make some time for it because it's important. And but then I got to thinking about honoring my Little Red Wagon, and I got to thinking about all the Little Red Wagons I'd had, and how much fun I'd had with them, which I think was why they were invented. Seems like. At least that's the story I'm going to tell. So my friends, thank you again for joining me on this long and rambling Little Red Wagon story. And in the end, by the time I got home, thought about all these Little Red Wagons and the one that currently powers my magical popcorn stand, I thought it very fitting that our magic popcorn popper would be powered by a Little Red Wagon. And no less a Little Red Wagon handpicked by the lady and I on a date. That's got a lot of magic in that Little Red Wagon. The batteries help. But so there you have it. I came home from turning popcorn into dreams and happy tummies and realization about another bit of magic that's been standing right in front of me for some time. Just hadn't seen it that way quite yet. So I was excited to share that story with all of you tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. As you know, I always want you to feel safe and loved. And I'm grateful that you joined me tonight. Sweet dreams.